Right. I think we're good to go. Let's see. Yeah, welcome everybody. We are back. Let's just see if my sound is working all right. Yeah. So, final round of the season at the. Is it the most iconic track we've got on GT? Top two at least. Top two at least. Um. So this is a bit of a bonus round for the entire grid, essentially, because the championship was already wrapped up last week at Blue Moon. Colin won that in his McLaren. Completely dominated the season, the entire season in the top five. So everyone is racing for pride pretty much here. But there is still a constructors championship between McLaren and BMW going on. BMW in pole position for that. So with that being said, let's run through the grid. We've got 4 laps in this sprint and 10 laps in the feature around Le Mans. Sunset is the time of day, so it is going to start getting a little bit darker towards the end of the feature, at least. Anyway, so lining up at the back is Joe, who is really quick, so I'm a bit surprised to see him all the way at the back. The Renault has horrible top speed. That might have something to do with it, or potentially you only got 2 laps in qualifying. If you got any kind of penalty, it just really ruined your lap. We've got Kenny up in P14 in the Citroen, and H-Boss in P13 in the Audi. Then we've got Simba. He is the reigning Tier 6 champion, signed up as a reserve this season. He is 12th in the Renault, so the Renault not even getting in the top 11 there with 2 of them. P11 is Yuri in the McLaren. He needs to get some top points if he is going to help Colin with the championship in the constructors there. Toyota is pretty strong. JMS in the top 10 this time. Then Colin down in 9th, probably his worst qualifying of the season. And then Zimmer in 8th. One of, if not the best qualifying for him this season. I don't think we've seen him in the top 8 too often, if memory serves me correctly. Spin, who just missed out on taking the championship to the final round with, I think, strategy messed him up at Blue Moon. He's lining up in P7 today. Genesis in the other Audi in 6th. That's a pretty solid time for Genesis, always towards the front. Pasty in the Mazda in P5. We do think the Mazda's a bit better than it was previously, and we've got 2 of them in the top 5 there. Harry in the BMW M6, the lead driver of the BMW M6, is in 4th. Then we've got Deco in 3rd. Then we've got something really weird. We got the Alphas in P1 and 2 with Pyro getting pole position, and this is probably his first pole position in, like, potentially over a year. I'd love to know when his last pole position was. But yeah, set an amazing lap, a time that wouldn't have been out of place in Tier 1. We know that Alpha's very good in a straight line. Didn't realize it was this good. So it looks like these guys are in pole position to, well, literally in pole position, but in a prime position to actually convert this into a 1-2 potentially. But yeah, Deco and Pasty, especially in the Mazda, is going to be really quick down that back straight. The BMW will be okay. The Audi's okay. The Toyota should be really quick. If Zimmer can stay with the lead pack, he might get 1 or 2 positions down the back straight on lap 1. McLaren struggles a little bit, although it's not as bad as it was before the update. It is much closer on top speed now. The Renault, I think, really struggles, so we might see them struggle to finish in the top 10. And the Citroen, I think, does also struggle on the top speeds, but it'll be really good on the infield section towards the end of the lap. So let's get our sprint race up and running. Hello, Wack. So it's lights out where we go. We know that the Alphas get a pretty good start, pretty even start all round, especially in the top 4. You can see the Audi dropping back a little bit. The starts of the Audi are pretty shocking now. Everyone still pretty much where they were. Wax going to challenge Pyro potentially for a move. Actually, no, he backs out of it. Completely cuts turn 1. I wonder if that's going to be a penalty. Looks like everyone else has got through. We've got the two Mazdas now in 3rd and 4th. Wack did get a half-second penalty for that. Pasty managing to get up 2 positions past Deco. Harry's in 5th. Genesis still in 6th though. Spin in 7th. Then we've got Kenny somehow. Hold on, let's go back and see Kenny's start. P14. We know that the Citroen starts well. So look at that. He's already got 3 places. There's another 2, including on Colin. That is absolutely insane from the Citroen at the start. And then where's he going to get the next one? A little bit of shuffling going on. And it looks like he might have to settle into 9th. No, Colin's going to back out of it. Oh, and he's absolutely sent it down the inside of Kenny there. Kenny gets the position back, and now we're going to go onto the back straight for the very first time. Look out for penalties coming for all these drivers. Pyro with the lead. He's probably going to be helped a bit here from Wack with some bump drafting. Now we've got Pasty and Deco are probably going to be both bump drafting each other down as well, with Harry trying to take advantage of that. We've got Genesis and Spin side by side. Spin's got a bit of a run on Genesis here. Let's see what happens into the braking zone. Oh, there's been contact ahead as well in the braking zone, but everyone actually makes the corner pretty well. Spin gets the position comfortably from Genesis. Genesis down to 7th now. Looking a bit further back, Kenny might get a penalty there. That looked a little bit, yeah, there's 1.5. So let me show you how Kenny got that penalty. So, that is the reason. So you're allowed to go over this line if you are past the curbs, because when the curbs appear, that becomes the penalty line. But because there's no curb here, the penalty line is the white line and he's over it, and that is the 2.5 penalty. That's going to completely ruin the start that he had. He's also under a lot of pressure still from Colin, so I expect Colin to potentially get this position into the next corner. Look at how fast these cars go down the back straight, 260 kilometers an hour. You approach 270 by the next corner, and Colin's got that position pretty much sewn up. Looks like Deco and Harry and Pasty are having a bit of a battle here. Looks like Deco potentially getting a penalty there. Let's see if it appears on his screen. No, I think he's got away with it actually. Wack does have a half-second. Pyro's also got a half-second, so this is great news for Deco, Pasty, Harry, Spin and Genesis, who are all in one massive train behind. Genesis thinking about a move, Harry thinking about a move. He's actually trying to get both Mazdas in one go here. Everyone makes it round pretty nicely. Let's see what goes on a little bit further down. Kenny getting chased by Yuri now, JMS getting chased by H-Boss. Chips really wide there. Looks like Joe was a bit wide as well. And Zimmer all the way at the back. He must speed of the wars. So we're approaching the penalty line in a couple of corners time. So what's really important here for the two Alphas is that they're working together. They make the next corner safely, coming up right here. Difficult thing to do. I think we've got a few cars a bit wide here. Deco looked like he went for the move on Harry, who's completely dropped down. So there's another one we'll have to watch a replay of. Everyone's bunching up here. What's going to happen with Harry? Yeah, he just took the corner normally and Deco was in the way. So a bit of an unforced error there. Deco's actually waited for him, which I don't think he needed to do, to be honest. I don't think that was I think that was a racing incident more than anything. So here's everyone serving the penalties. How is it looking for Pasty? Pasty and Genesis are in 3rd and 4th now. Pyro and Wax seems to have got away with that really well. Potentially with the carnage going on. Colin's trying to get up into the top 5 already. Now, I did notice a lot of people are not very good at that corner that we just went through from my race. You can take so much more speed than what feels safe through that corner, and then you basically don't really have to brake for the next few corners until this corner that we just went through. So yeah, that's probably the section where the most time is on the table. And then these two corners can be really tricky as well. Spin's absolutely sending it against Genesis. And Genesis keeps that position, and Spin has to back out, go all the way down into first as well. And yeah, no one really took that final corner decently enough there. So we've got lap 1 finish. Pyro still has quite a comfortable lead here. He's not been under any pressure, and he's got his teammate supporting him, so potentially a chance for another win here for Pyro. Pasty looks a pretty comfortable P3 at the moment, ahead of Genesis, Spin, Colin, Harry, Yuri and Deco. Kenny rounds out the top 10 after serving his penalty. JMS has another penalty. H-Boss in 12th. Then we got Joe, Simba and Zimmer struggling at the back. But let's join the front. Let's see what happens on the run round this next corner with all the drivers. So looks like a pretty clean for these top 3. Maybe a bit of a penalty for Genesis. I don't think so, because he was just a little bit on the curbs there. Spin's going to come under pressure from Colin now. Look at the slipstream that Colin's going to be able to get here. Little drag race. Spin's got the slipstream and Colin decides to back out of that one. Harry's really close behind as well, so the top 3 of the championship in 5th, 6th and 7th right now. And there's going to be a penalty there for Harry for sure. That'll drop him way back. For the exact same reason as what we were talking about with the Citroen that we were looking at on the previous lap. Yuri's actually got a really good run on Harry here. So we got the top 4 cars in the constructors, the 2 McLarens and the 2 BMWs, all very close together. Good little start to this race from Yuri. Colin's trying to get Spin. Spin's going deep, and that could potentially be a penalty for Spin now as well. More contact between them, and Spin's just lost 3 positions there in one go. So absolute disaster there for Spin. Is he going to get a penalty on top? I think he's avoiding a penalty, but he's going to get overtaken now by Deco as well, who's trying to recover after waiting for Mighty on the previous lap. Is there going to be any moves into the hairpin? Looks like everyone's made it through. Kenny's on the back of this pack as well, so maybe the Citroen is better on it in a straight line after the update, because he's kept up really well despite the setbacks. In fact, the top 13 all separated by pretty much nothing here. Back at the front, the Alphas are still getting away. Whack obviously not putting any pressure on Pyro, trying to get the position. They just do play the team game at the moment. And they make it through pretty nicely there. Let's see if any drivers have any penalties. Genesis got half a second. He may get away with that. Harry's got half a second. Colin is going to take Harry. He looks a bit too far away from Genesis though to take advantage of that. So let's have a look at how Colin takes this corner. Like I said, you should just brake a little bit, go down to 4th, take as much speed as you possibly can through here. And now it's full throttle around the next corner. Is he going to take it full? Yeah. You don't need to brake for this corner, maybe just a little bit of lifting, which is exactly what he does. Again, just a bit of lifting here. He actually decides to brake. You don't need to brake for that corner. And then he actually doesn't brake there either. So Colin really has that section pretty well sussed out in terms of his braking. The lines could have been a little bit smoother, but what you're trying to do at this point is avoid making any big mistakes, especially when you're on for a potential podium just a second or two up the road. Really cuts that entry into the chicane. I don't know if that's going to be a penalty. I think he might have got away with that one as well. You can cut them, but if you cut them too much, there's large penalties in those final chicanes. At the front, it's still looking pretty comfortable. Wax got the fastest lap of the race at 4-minute 1.7. I think 4-minute flats was the quickest lap in qualifying, which is still insanely quick. The Tier 1 guys, I think the quickest was still in the 59s. So Pyro going purple at the moment. These two are miles ahead of Passy. Passy having his best sprint race of the season comfortably here as well. He's dragging Genesis along with him down these back straights, and Genesis just got a 2-second penalty. Let's see how that happened. So there's one part of the penalty. There's the other part of the penalty. So I think it'll have been probably part of the 2 seconds for the inside and part for the outside. And there you go, there's 2 seconds. So that's gonna put him really far back, because 2 seconds is about 5 really by the time that we get to the penalty zones. Whack lifting off the throttle, deciding not to bump draft Pyro near the braking zone. Very careful through the corner as well. Ooh, is that going to be a penalty for Pasty? He might have just got away with that. He's going very fast here. Yeah, he's got away with a penalty. I think Genesis is opting for the bump draft. He's trying to get as far up the road as possible before he serves his penalty. Pretty comfortable for these guys. A little bit further back, Colin's trying to stick with them. Yuri with a ½ second. Harry with a 5.5 second penalty. That is close to a record, I'm sure. I think Erotico's got 12 seconds once in Interlagos, actually. Deco's still trying to recover, still stuck behind Spin. Thought about the last minute dive up Spin, but couldn't get anything done there. We've got a bit of a drag race going on between the boys with penalties coming in. I don't know, I guess Harry's just racing for fun here, trying to get a position, because he's going to lose, well, at least his top 10 position with this 5.5 that he's about to serve. Maybe he's wanting to get Yuri a little bit lower down so that Spin can get him. Spin's not too far back at the moment. Actually, it looks like he's closing the gap really quickly, so he's getting bumped by the driver behind as well. So let's follow with Deco. So Yuri's only going to lose a fraction of time here. It is going to be enough to lose 2 positions. Spin going to actually be able to catch up to Genesis, who's just served his 2-second penalty. He is getting close. I think the braking zone's going to come a little bit too quickly for that. So Genesis only loses 1 position there. And Colin benefiting from a few free positions in this race, which I'm going to put my neck out there and say that you do get free positions in Tier 3. You don't get free positions very often in Tier 4. And if you do get free positions, not Tier 4, Tier 2, sorry, where he's going. And if you do get free positions, it's like when you're trying to finish at P11 and the person in P10 makes a mistake rather than getting up into the near podium positions. So yeah, it's going to be a real different challenge for Colin next season, and for quite a few of these guys. Back up at the front, Pyro's got a ½ penalty, so I wonder how they're going to play this, because Whack hasn't got a penalty. He didn't really just cut that opening corner there, which you can do. So regardless, it'll be a 1-2. It's just how charitable's Whack feeling right now. Is he gonna allow Pyro to keep the win with the ½ second, or is he gonna take it? If it was me, I'm taking it. I don't care. Like, end of the season, obviously you're not really fighting for anything anymore because the championship's done and dusted. Alpha haven't been able to compete in the constructors, that's for sure. Slipstream's not looking too impressive, I've got to say. Going through these corners. pretty neat and tidy for both of them. Still going purple. Wax in the has set a 4-minute 0.5 as the fastest lap. Insanely quick. I don't think I set a lap that quick in any practice or the race. The Alpha was insanely good, and this is potentially one of Wax's best tracks here. So he gives a little bump draft. Plenty of time before the braking zone. What's happening? Oh no. What's happened? Hold on, I completely mucked that one up. Right. So Wack just wipes out his teammate. Oh my god. Right, the Alpha Cloud Show on full display there. Up into the podium position. Like I said, another free position there for Colin and for Pasty up into second. Pyro's down into sixth with a half second to serve. Oh dear. That's one way to make sure that you win a race, Wack. I mean, Jesus Christ. Bloody hell. I wasn't actually expecting that. I knew something happened that stopped Pyro from getting the win. Someone's gone completely deep there. I think Genesis completely sent it into this corner. Oh no, he's just fully ahead, but he's got the outside here. Spin squeezing him around the outside, and then he ends up completely out of shape. Actually gets a pretty good exit there. Pyro potentially going to start updrafting spin. Don't think it's going to mean much though, because Pyro's going to end behind Genesis by the looks of things. Yuri's up into 7th. Kenny's up into 8th with 2.5 seconds. So where do you get this? Okay, it was the previous lap. Apparently Deco span, so let's go find that. Oh, not there. Spin sending it on Genesis into this corner. Still no spin. Yellow flags out, you can't make any overtakes here. Deco backs out of it. There's Pyro. Oh dear. I've seen loads of people do that. I've personally never made that spin into the wall there, but a lot of people do make that. So Deco's down in 13th. We are in the final lap. Let's go further forward because Pyro's got now a 1 second penalty. He's cut a little bit more as well. Genesis is going to come through here. Completely cuts that corner. Pyro goes too deep already. Now through comes, it looks like it's Harry who's coming through, the only person not to be serving a penalty down here. He's going to try and get Yuri who had a shorter penalty than Pyro, and he's going to get both of them. So Harry back up into the top 6. The position's really all over the place here. A little bit further forward, we've only got a few more corners to go before the end of the race. Wack is going to get a very controversial victory. Can you imagine if that was like a real race, how much the internet would melt down? Also don't think if it was a real race that the teammate would have been completely fine with that happening. So, as Pyro seemed to be, or at least he appeared to be. Maybe in private he was a lot more angry. But Wack takes his second victory of the season. Pasty with his best result of the season in the sprint. Spin manages to get past Colin in the end. Genesis in 5th, Harry 6th ahead of Yuri, Pyro 8th, Kenny is in 9th, despite lots of penalties. JMS is in 10th, actually relegated to 11th, Joe gets up into 10th, Zimmer 12th. Then a long way back is Deco with a 2.5 second penalty, and Simba, who is going to finish last of the runners in P40. So let's see if Pyro can recover in the future. He obviously has the pace to be able to win. However, can he do it? Pyro's big problem with Le Mans on feature races is spinning in the final chicane before the race starts. But where he's starting in third, he's actually on the main straight, so he can't even risk ruining his feature like he always seems to do. So that's good news for him at least. That's one positive. Oh, you let spin past. Okay. Good job I didn't rewind to try and find any action then. So let's have a quick look at the tyres. I'm expecting most people to be starting on mediums. Genesis and Colin on the hards. Some people will be trying the medium soft strategy here. Hards also for HBoss. So Joe and Kenny. Wow, the Citroen seems to get a good start on the feature races as well. Already caught up to Joe on the run down to turn 1. Let's see if he can get a move done. A bit of field spread. Because like I said, some people are starting in the last chicane. Joe covers off pretty well. Pyro in third, Yuri fourth, Harry fifth. Then we've got Genesis, Colin ahead of Spin, Pasty and Whack. It's pretty much as you were between the whole grid, apart from HBoss. Looks like he's lost position to Simba. Oh no, I think HBoss actually DNF'd the sprint race, so he started last. Kenny looking like he's under a little bit of pressure from Pyro here. Let's ride on board with Pyro because on evidence he should have more pace than these front two and should be able to get to the front of the field fairly quickly. He's got Harry and he's got Yuri in close company as well. So this top 5 actually broken away a little bit, and Genesis will have some work to do to catch them back up. Trying to stay in the slipstream, which is exactly what you need to be doing. You can't afford to be out of it for too long. Now, first time going through the chicane on the harder medium tyres, and Pyro got a brilliant exit there compared to Kenny. Is he going for the bump or is he going for the move? Let's have a quick look as he closes the gap. He's going for the move. And there's Harry, which I didn't want to see. Now, yeah, Kenny absolutely had no answer there. He's not even in 270. Is he going to make contact with Pyro just like Whack did at the end of the race? No, contact avoided. Joe made a real pig's ear of the chicane ahead, and Pyro and Kenny are going to close the gap now as a result of that. I wonder if Joe's going to get a penalty. He was all out of shape. He probably kept it within the lines. Now Kenny is going for a move on Pyro. Pyro's a little bit boxed in here. Joe actually goes defensive into the corner, which blocks off Kenny. I hope Kenny doesn't go for the bump into the corner. And Pyro squeezed around the outside. And yeah, that is a shame. Let's see that again. I don't think there was any contact. I think that he just couldn't get the car slowed down sufficiently. Yeah, this is right, okay. This is how not to take the corner on the outside. So, when he's at this point, he's still got his full brakes on. Then we go here, he's still got his full brakes on. Now, he's about to lift off his brakes. Watch his brake light here to try and coast around the corner. And that is why he just understeers into the gravel. So he lifts there, and that's why it happens. He's got no brakes on and no throttle on, so he's not able to really control what the car's doing, and obviously carrying a tiny bit too much speed, which he could have still shaved off there. He's lost a couple of positions as a result, down to 5th now. Kenny trying to get the race lead here. This would be a good start for Kenny. Seems to start the sprint races really well, and then drops off a little bit, does Kenny. Looks like Yuri and Pyro going side by side around this corner, which is quite a difficult thing to do. They make it work pretty well. Now, approaching the penalty line for the first time. It looks like, whoa, my goodness, what happened here? I did see a bunch of cars kind of bunching up. Whack is in P10 right now. He bumps JMS around the corner, then gets bumped by Pasty, and then hits the tyres wall. Oh dear. Fastest car on the track this week is a distant P15. He's ended up getting going again. So not a great start for our race winner from the previous, yeah, Karma, yeah, pretty much. Pyro is past Yuri at least, and he's not too far away from the front three. Going around the really tricky infield section, which Kenny seems to be struggling with. He's dropped off the back of Joe around this section and is getting caught quickly by Harry. Harry might fancy a race win here in this feature race. He's coasting, so that was too much coasting to be anything other than mega fuel saving. Let's see where he's... Yeah, he is short shifting as well. Not massively short shifting. So I wonder if he's going to try and get 6 laps out of the mediums to do 4 on the softs. The winning strategy in the other tier 3 was 6 on the mediums and 4 on the hards. The top 2 both did that. So I wonder if that's going to be the same here, or if anyone's going to gamble and make the softs work. The softs will work for basically really well for 2 laps, okay for 1, and terrible for the final one if your car can even make 4 laps on the softs. Which, for example, the Audi can't, which is why you can see Genesis starting on the hards here. This is a great run for Harry. Kenny not really doing much to defend this one, and I think he's going to lose out on the drag race as well. Harry's actually fully ahead going into the braking zone. Harry comes it off pretty well. And off he goes. So, good start for Joe. He's got maybe a second and a half, 2 seconds ahead of Harry. Pyro's still ahead of Colin, it is now. So I wonder if Colin's going to try and get this position. Colin doing well again. He started on the hards, a harder compound than a lot of people around him, just like in Blue Moon, which he ended up winning. Managed to make the strategy work really well. You can see Kenny a little bit further up was thinking about challenging Harry, but couldn't get alongside. And is that going to be a penalty for Pyro? I don't think. Harry's got a 2 second. I thought I saw someone going over. Yeah, that'll definitely give you a 2 second penalty. Now Kenny's coming back at him again into the next hairpin that we're approaching. Tightest corner on the track. And Joe has a half second as well, so this is looking pretty good for Kenny. He's managed to get that position back on Harry. They're deciding not really to work together, but to actually just continue overtaking each other as the laps go on. Harry with his 2 seconds though is going to drop behind Pyro and potentially with Colin as well. Yuri's got a half second spin and Pasty going side by side. This is not how you want to be going into the next corner. And if I was Pasty, I'd just completely back out right now just to make sure that we can both survive. It's what I did, and then the driver in front ended up going straight off here. Right, now here come the penalties. So there's Harry dropping back. Colin's going to get Harry for sure. Colin up into 4th already. Joe's lost the lead. Joe's lost the lead with his penalty. Just a half second as well. That's pretty massive for half a second. Now Kenny up in the slip, and he's just got so much extra speed. It's going to be pretty easy for him. Pyro up to 3rd now. Then you got Pasty and Spin side by side still. The Mazdas and the BMWs really close together all in both races here. We've got JMS in the top 10. Genesis down to 11th, not sure what's happened to him. Maybe struggling just for pace as well on the hards. Then H-Boss and Whack struggling the most. But yeah, Kenny's in the lead of the race, having dropped down a few positions. He's now looking pretty comfortable starting lap 3. What can Joe do? Can he respond? He's actually got some slipstream to work with for the first time this lap. A 4 minute 6 compared to a 4 minute 4, but the quickest lap is still a 4 minute 4.2 from Pyro. There's still a couple more seconds in it on these mediums. 4 minute 3 for Whack, who's trying to catch up to the pack. Now let's see if these guys can avoid penalties. Very easy corners to get penalties on. Both of them avoid it pretty carefully around that corner. Probably left a second on the table there, both of them. Now Joe's going to start to reel in the gap to Kenny coming into the next chicane. Maxed out 7th gear for the Renault. And taking the corner pretty carefully there, quite early braking. The more pressure you can put on Kenny, the more Kenny's likely to make a little mistake that could potentially get him just a very small time penalty that would allow Joe to retake the lead without having to try too hard. Pyro's completely dropped Colin. Colin really struggling on the hards to keep up with the top 3. But he might get some help here from Harry. Harry going for the bump draft. Or was it? Potentially not. Now he's trying to go around the outside into the corner. Colin just completely backs out of it. And yeah, off Harry goes. I wonder if Colin's going to do the bump drafting. The highest driver on the hard tyres, I'd be just bump drafting and trying to close the gap to P1 rather than worrying about overtaking Harry right now. Everyone's pretty careful here. Joe is really close to Kenny. These two have a great chance if they work together just to completely leave everyone behind, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. Joe was going for the move, instantly lost all of his momentum once he left slipstream. About to serve another penalty, having made his way up into 8th. Yuri in 9th is going to take a position. Then it's JMS, Genesis and Zimmer and Simba, all with big penalties there. Then we have H-Boss and Whack. Whack trying to get off the back of the field. It's going to go side by side into this next corner. There's a yellow flag out for someone. So Whack couldn't get that position done. Who's lost? Who's the yellow flag out for? Oh! What has happened here? Into the tyre wall, just like Whack did. And that is a huge number of positions lost. It was going pretty well for Joe. He's going to have to drag race Deco, who had a time penalty to serve. So that means Kenny's got a comfortable position, lead now. So are we going to see another win for Team Citroen? We've seen it win a lot in Tier 4, even won a Tier 1 race as well. Him and Cherry were 1-2 for quite a while in Seaside before it all started coming apart. And the pressure's going to be on Kenny. He's had not the greatest results this season. Citroen's been quick though. We saw how good it was on that standing start as well. That was crazy. So what can he do? Let's have a look at what this lap time is and compare it to Pyro's. Bear in mind he was fighting a little bit with Joe. A 4.3, 4.6 for Pyro. Fastest lap a 2.9 for Harry. So another contender for victory here, Harry. 4.7 for Colin. 3.4 for Spin, that's pretty good. 3 flat for Pasty. Yeah, the Mazda must be back. I bet the Mazda must be back to its glory days, especially on a track like this. Oh, let's see if he can keep it to the end, though. It looks like Deco managed to get past Yuri. Let's see what happened to Yuri. Yuri's got quite a big lead over Deco right now, so he's not under any pressure. He's going to go deep here into the entry of the chicane, isn't he? No, he doesn't go deep. He just loses traction in between and goes completely off. I wonder if that's a penalty as well. Yeah, second for his troubles. 5.5 seconds for Joe. Wow. So his race has really come undone in the space of a few corners here, Joe. Harry potentially going to be challenging Pyro into the chicane. Are we going to see some rain? It's looking a bit grim, this weather. So this is going to be the lap that we see some people potentially make their first pit stop. Pyro going pretty well on this lap. He's on course to go into the threes, and Harry got himself a half-second penalty just there as well. So that'll give Pyro a bit of breathing space. Pasty's got himself a second. Yuri with 1.5 as well, and Genesis with another half-second. Every single lap Genesis seems to be getting penalised. So potentially not knowing the braking points on the hards and going a little bit wide here and there, getting the penalties racked up. Pyro really attacking the curbs here, where some people are completely avoiding them. Kenny's absolutely messed up this... what has happened here to make him mess up so bad? Nearly span it. Oh man, that's one hell of a way to lose the lead of the race. So... Pyro, for the second race tonight, is winning. The win is on once again, so definitely the quickest guy on track today is Pyro. Couldn't even say that when he won Red Bull Ring, but yeah, he seems to be in a class of his own here. He's like tier 1 pace all of a sudden. And what's going on? How's that happened? How have you guys let that happen, more importantly? Harry's in P2, he's going to drop at least at 1 position, potentially 2 when he serves that penalty. So at least Kenny's going to get 1 of those positions back. And then he'll just have to stay close to Pyro, see if Pyro can keep his nose clean, basically. Let's see how much this half second is going to penalise Kenny. Not Kenny, Harry. Kenny's going to get past, that's for sure. Colin could potentially. There's the half second. Kenny gets past. Now let's see how Colin closes the gap. You can see loads of people serving penalties back there. They're just the headlights are getting smaller and smaller by the second. So that just leaves Colin and Spin in with the front pack, really. And Harry gets away with it in P3, but he almost goes into the gravel there. And there we go. Was that rain that I heard? There is rain. There was definitely a little bit of rain coming down there. You can see the water gauge is starting to get a little bit full. So what is going to happen from here? Pyro's done great to take the lead of the race. There was a little bit of rain in that section of the track, but it's completely dry in this section. Are we going to see more rain coming? No one is coming into the pits at the end of lap 4. Oh, Colin's in. What's he going to put on? There we got Pasty carrying on. Everyone else is carrying on. I mean, I don't know what the weather radar was saying at the time, but I can't imagine people coming in on a fully dry track to put on wet tyres. At the front, Pyro is eking out a bit more of a lead, if it is actually going to start to rain. Maybe it was just for 1 split second that there was rain on the track, I don't know. Harry putting more pressure on Kenny now, and Pyro potentially getting away here. Fantastic exit from that corner for Harry. He should really be getting Kenny. Opting not to do any bump drafting. Trying to go the long way around Kenny as well. There we go. Really good corner there for Harry to ensure he keeps that position. Something's happened with Kenny. Oh dear, it was going so well. But this is kind of what we've seen a few times from Kenny. I think he's got the pace. He just, yeah, can't string a full race together without something like that happening. So he's going to lose a lot of time there. Actually, there was a huge gap back to Pasty. Pasty's going to potentially get Kenny, I'm not sure. Deco's got a second and a half. Let's see where Colin is out. Colin's out on fresh mediums, as is H-Boss with a pit lane penalty there. So he's going to go 6 laps on the mediums. Well, I don't know what happened with that rain, because there's absolutely no clouds in the sky anymore by the looks of it. The shortest rain shower in history, that was. Literally like 2 seconds. But that'll suit Pyro. Pyro won't want any rain to come down with his comfortable lead that he's got. Now, is he going to stay out for one more lap and do a 6th lap on these mediums? He's got plenty of tyre life in them. Harry slightly more tyre wear than spin between the two teammates. Kenny's just settled back down into 4th. There's a lot of hassle going on behind. JMS just shuffling Deco down into P8 there behind Yuri as well. And Deco's got a penalty as well, so that's going to put him down even further. Let's see if JMS can get past Pasty. Ooh, is he going to get slowed down? No, there's the gravel. Now, get yourself rejoined. There you go. Maybe don't full throttle it out of a gravel trap. Yeah, and dirty tyres, misses the corner. There's the penalty there, but Yuri's got a run on Pasty. No, he doesn't. No run detected. Pasty comfortably covering that off for P5. So let's join Pyro back at the front. What's he going to do? Is he going to stay out one more lap, or is he going to be coming in the next few corners? He's going to potentially, if he stays out an extra lap, go on the softs. I don't think the Alpha's got good enough tyres to do that. He is staying out anyway. I reckon he'll go on the hards next. Harry stays out. Spin stays out. Kenny doesn't have the fuel to actually stay out any longer. Pasty comes in as well. Yuri's staying out, as is Deco. JMS dives into the pits. Wack, who's worked his way back into the top 10, stays out, as does Simba. Genesis comes in to get off his hards. He's going to do 5 on the mediums. Could have got an extra out on those mediums, potentially. Zimmer out. And then let's ride with Colin, who went a little bit wide on that corner exit. I think maybe got away with it. Is he going to be ahead of everyone who's just come into the pits? With the undercut, with the fresh tyres. It's a very, very long pit lane. You lose so much time. Yeah, and he is ahead of everyone, so he's up into 9th. He's still got clear air for he catches Zimmer. So they'll all potentially pit at the end of this lap. See what Pyro's sector time is. Is he still lapping as quick as he was now that he's got some wear on his tyres? Yeah, he's actually the quickest that he's ever been so far this race, so that's going pretty well. Harry's got another 2 seconds. That'll drop him behind his teammate. And then these guys have massive penalties as well, Yuri and Deco. Wow, so many penalties. So many penalties in this race. That's going to open the door back up for Wack, who just got a half second himself right as I said that. Even Simba's not too far back, to be fair. Spin's struggling a little bit with that corner, lost a little bit of time to Harry. Pyro just absolutely driving off into the distance right now. I think someone potentially, yeah. Oh. Deco's made some astounding spins in these races. But yeah, this is what happens when you pick the Mazda for a season. I could relate, as a former Mazda victim myself. It is good in terms of lap time. It seems to be better in terms of lap time post update, but it's still not better in terms of handling. So it depends what you want out of your season. If you think you can handle it, if you think you can control it, go for it. But a slightly slower car that isn't going to spin at all for a whole season is going to reward you much more and leave you a lot less frustrated as well if you feel like you can push a little bit harder. This Mazda is kind of like what the Red Bull F1 car is like. So you have people like, you know, Perez, Tsunoda, Lawson coming in, spinning the car, making mistakes, going out early in qualifying because they can't get the best out of it. A little bit like that with the Mazda, and you just feel like you can't fully 100% push like you would be able to in a more stable car. So for me, going from the Mazda to, that was 2 seasons ago, to the Audi this season. Audi's so much more stable. Didn't spin at all this season in the Audi. And even though it wasn't the quickest, I think I got way more points because I picked it than if I'd have gone for the Mazda, which was available actually. Good little run out of the corner, but it's not going to be enough for Deco because he's got his 2.5 penalty there, but you can see the difference in pace between Simba and Deco. Over those few corners that we saw. I actually think the Mazda's going to still be available next season, potentially. It's going to be the top 5 cars in total across both of the 2 tiers, so we're only banning 5 cars, but like obviously the Audi and the McLaren, because they both won the championships, will get banned. The NSX and the BMW because they finished P2. And then the last one is just going to be whoever scored the most points, which I don't know off the top of my head. I don't think it's going to be the Mazda though. Into the pits comes Pyro, into the pits comes Spin. Harry's carrying on for another lap, but look how dead his tyres are. So what is Pyro going to put on? Is he going on the hard tyres? I reckon he is. He's potentially going to get undercut here by Colin. Yuri stays out as well on those mediums. He's got a bit better tyre life than Harry, so he should do a little bit better, but a 4:13 his last lap, a 4:09 for Harry. Pyro's got himself a half second again, which might affect him if he is near-ish Colin. Let's drive around with Colin. He's just starting his 7th lap now, set his quickest lap of the race by 1.4 seconds. There's Pyro and there's Colin. So Pyro is behind Colin. Colin's on the mediums. Pyro's on the softs. Okay. 4 laps on the softs for Pyro. With the half-second penalty, if he can make those softs last, he should be able to get Colin. I'm not sure though. He's got the pace for it. He seems to be a bit quicker than Colin here, which is probably maybe the first time this season, maybe the second after Red Bull, that you could say he's got the pace on the champion. You can hear the crickets going off in the bushes in my earphones. It's quite quite distracting, quite realistic at least. JMS putting a lot of pressure on Kenny now. So JMS doing pretty well on these soft tyres. Kenny's on the hards. Will find it tough to defend against this GR Supra, especially with the slipstream and with the engine that it's got. it's not really going to be... Yeah, there's not much Kenny can do there. It's absolute sitting duck. That is the definition of a sitting duck. He needs to get into the slipstream, which he hasn't done, and try and go for an extra move, but he's just completely surrendered that position to JMS. And, yeah. Pretty neat and tidy corner there for JMS. Now I'm expecting him to drive away. Kenny's going to try and stick in the slipstream. Deco down to 11th now. And Zimmer really struggling at the back. So let's see what Harry's sector times are here. I don't think he's gonna make it, you know. That front left with half a lap to do. I don't think that's gonna make it without getting into puncture territory. Yuri's rear left is looking pretty precarious as well, but not as bad as Harry's front left, sorry. So let's see what the sector times start to look like. 2.4 seconds down, that's 2:54. What's Yuri looking like here? .256, so he's actually a lot slower. And let's see what Colin on his on another hot lap. I think this is his second full lap on these mediums, his third overall. Almost 3 seconds quicker than Harry. Outlap for Pyro anyway. Outlap for Spin. So yeah, Pyro only has a half-second penalty. He hasn't actually closed the gap into Colin very much. Spin with no penalty himself hadn't potentially nicked that position off Pyro. So let's go back up to Harry, who's got his... well, he has made it back actually, with enough tyre life to spare. Same with Yuri. I think it's fair to say they timed that pretty perfectly, but they were both pretty slow on those final laps, allowing probably a few cars to get the undercut done on them. So I'm fully expecting Colin here to take the lead of the race. It's just going to be a question of where does Harry come out in terms of the top 8. So that rain was just a massive false alarm. I thought we were going to get a wet conclusion to the season, which would have been really nice. Fastest lap for Colin. What about Spin? Just a little bit behind Pyro. He is going to take a spot in the top 3. Out comes Harry. Is he going to be in 4th place with fresh soft tyres? This could... still leave the door open for him to get a podium. Absolutely under no pressure at all for the rest of the race. Just the 3 laps to do on the softs. Could potentially get the fastest lap as well because he's got the freshest softs. Pasty and P5 with half a second. JMS up in 6th. Kenny going deep, losing positions to Whack and to Yuri there in the opening chicane of the lap. And then we got more penalties for these guys. I can't believe how close they are to the front, considering all the penalties that they've had. Well, there's been a lot of tracks on this calendar with pretty harsh penalties. Watkins Glen, Red Bull here, which is why we asked in the off-season whether we should reduce to light penalties for corner cutting or keep on strict. Strict one. We might do another vote in another couple of seasons, but it's not the time yet. So it looks like Simba might be on for a top 10 here. And then Zimmer's finally not in last place anymore. The entire grid are on the back straight at least. There we go. Really neat and tidy for Colin. Avoids the penalty line there. Pyro does as well. Pretty neat and tidy. Looks like the front guys have pretty much sussed this corner out. They're all taking a very similar line on the exit. Ooh, a little bit twitchy there for Pasty. Whack on his recovery drive up to 8th now. Deco's going to get even more of a penalty here. Even though he completely lifted and lost positions. That's going to increase for sure. Or is he going to get away with it? God, it must have been so frustrating getting going wide pretty much every corner there for Deco. How is Pyro doing on this lap? Let's have a look at some sector times as we go across this one. He needs to be at least a couple of seconds up on Colin's time here. Colin a 52.4, 51.1, so that's probably not enough for him to catch. He might be, yeah, Pyro needs to dig a little bit deeper here. Colin's been on these mediums for a very long time. So after that length of time on the lap, Pyro should be, yeah, like I said, a couple of seconds up. This might be the part of the track where Pyro is stronger with the fresh softs though. Really high speed corners, he can bring a bit more speed, lean on them. Doesn't have to really worry about looking after the tyres, went way too deep into that corner. Still full throttle there. It's gonna, yeah, hardly lift at all, but there he's gonna have to brake. He gets the entry all wrong because he hardly lifted. Sometimes lifting a little bit extra on that left-hander lines you up beautifully for the right-hander. Yeah, so that is going to be another chunk of time lost to Colin. So we've got 2 more laps left here. Let's see what this lap time is looking like. Colin pretty careful around that final corner. 4 minute 2.9, 4 minute 1.6. 3.5. That's his outlap, so don't take any notice of that. Then this big gap back. Pasti definitely having his best week of the season. He must love Le Mans. 5.5 for him. An outlap for Yuri, I think that was. And then Whack up in 7th now. Our sprint race winner. So everyone's pretty gapped at the moment. Two more turns round the track, and then season 17 will be done for these guys. I think, on reflection, a hugely successful season for Colin. Don't think we'll be seeing him in Tier 3 ever again after that. Pyro got his first win after 2 years, so that is a success in his books. Spin's most successful season at this level. Same for Harry. Harry's shown a lot of pace in the past, but hasn't actually strung a lot of, you know, solid results together in one season. So that's a good little milestone for him to set. Yuri will probably be a bit disappointed with this season. He usually wins at like the odd race every season, but he hasn't got that close this time. He's under a bit of pressure now from Pasti, who has had a bit of a similar season to Yuri. Could have been much better. Pasti's lost that position actually. He was in the top 5. Whack, a lot of people would have expected him to put in a title challenge, especially after that first week where he finished first and second. And he really only finished second in the feature race because his dog was in the way of the TV for half of it. GMS struggled a little bit in the Supra. Kenny, well, he could have been winning this race. It's a story of what might have been. Maybe if all the races were half the distance, Kenny would be a lot higher up in the standings. Genesis' first race as a reserve, starting out as a reserve in the Audi. Managed to get some podiums, should be pretty pleased with that. Deco's shown really good pace. He's just been in a crap car. We don't really know too much about Chips, but potentially putting him in Tier 3 was a bit too much. Zimmer has had some really good highlights, really good overtakes as well. Improved on last season in terms of the pace that we can see in the data for sure. So I don't think he's really, well, he's not as bad as the position that he's in right now, but he's about to take Simba here pretty easily. Nice little overtake there. Let's hope that Simba avoids him. Yep, everyone makes the corner. Oh, Deco doesn't though. So there's an extra 2 positions for Zimmer in 1 there. And then at the back we've got H-Boss, really struggling here, but yeah, he has shown flashes of pace. So I think the potential's there for him to get some really solid results. Deco back at least up 1 position. So we've not got too long left. Colin still comfortably winning this race. Let's see what his lap time ends up looking like here. Oh, there's a penalty. Let's see how much comes up. Only half a second. Pyro's in the pits. Spins in the pits. Okay, is this some weather? Have they seen some weather? I can hear rain. Yeah, you can hear it. It's coming down for sure. You can see it on his windscreen. Now, how quickly is this weather gauge going to fill up? Colin on the mediums. Oh, that is heavy rain. This is exactly what happened in our tier at Red Bull on the last lap, essentially. The rain starts coming down massively heavy. It's not enough to warrant the soft speed completely useless there. This is really tricky now. Intermediates on for Spin and for Pyro, but like I said earlier in the race, the pit lane is incredibly long. If this was somewhere else, I think Colin would be done for. Now we're definitely in intermediate tyre territories. Wax put on the full wets, but yeah, look how heavy that rain is coming down on the windscreen. Now what's Colin going to be able to do? He's going to have to brake. Yeah, he's going deep. He's actually cutting the entire, yeah, he's stuck in the gravel. He's got to be reset to track as well. That is massive. What about Yuri? How's Yuri going to do it? Yuri's a long way back, so yeah, Colin's struggling to get back going. Looks like he's put on the traction control. Probably got some heavy traction. Let's see what Yuri can do in the braking zone. The only other driver, it looks like, he's braking incredibly early. That was at the 300 meter board to try and make the corner, which he looks like he's going to do. So that's going to cut down a lot of time, at least between him and Colin. Colin's got the next braking zone coming up. He's taking it much more carefully now. Yeah, he wasn't even going that quick down the straight, and he still misses the corner. That's going to be another penalty for sure, and that's going to potentially be another penalty. What's Pyro up to? Pyro's still not caught Yuri yet. Yeah, 4-second penalty for Colin. This is going to be insane. What is going on? We're in full wet conditions. Full wet conditions. If Colin can keep this lead, I know he's got quite a big lead here. Here's Yuri coming around the second chicane, really struggling. There's going to be a penalty for him. Oh, never mind, he just span it anyway. Good little 360 though. Through goes Pyro back up into second place, and Spin's going to take third. So the race is on. We're in full wet conditions. Pyro's on the intermediates, Wax on the full wets. He's in sixth. Let's see. Ooh, he still nearly got himself a penalty there. He might get himself into the top 5 in the end. Let's see how Colin takes this next one. This is he must have been sweating buckets right now. Yeah, all the way down into 4th gear just to take this right-hander, which is flat out on a dry track. Oh, and he's still in the gravel. And he's about to serve 4 seconds as well. Looks like Yuri's dropping like a fly as well. He's down to 5th now. And Colin's into the gravel again. This is absolutely painful to watch. There's a couple of guys making some spins at the final chicane. Here's the 4-second penalty he's serving. Here comes Pyro, who, bear in mind, the inters are not very good round here when it's this wet. So obviously they're going to be a lot better than Colin's tyres, and he is actually making the corners. But what can Colin do now? The rain hasn't let up at all. It has been constant and consistent. Pyro coming under a bit of pressure himself from spin. There is still quite a large gap to try and fix. Wax up to 5th place on his wet tyres. The softs of Yuri is still struggling. Genesis serving big penalties. Kenny down in 10th. H-Boss in 11th on the wets. He might be improving a little bit. Simba on very worn softs, but let's see what Colin could do. Is he going to get another penalty there? Looks like he avoided a penalty. Is Pyro taking these corners? He needs to be as aggressive as possible here if he's going to catch him. The time is running out for the victory here. Colin stayed out on mediums. He's got only the last 2 chicanes to try and make his way through. He's actually made it through that one. Is he going to make it through this next one? He's going incredibly slowly. And he's going to do it. He's actually going to do it. And there's the victory for Colin. Ahead of Pyro, who did pit, finished 2nd anyway, gave it a really good go. Harry is going to finish 3rd ahead of Spin. So BMW 3-4, that wraps up the Constructors' Championship for the BMW drivers. Wack did recover up to 5th going on the wets, so he had the right strategy. Potentially if Pyro went on into the wets, he would have won that race fairly comfortably. JMS is going to come across in 7th. Oh, just ahead of Genesis, who got a 2-second penalty there, but still manages to finish ahead of Kenny. And Yuri, on his soft tyres, dropped from 2nd at the start of the lap down to 10th. H-Boss on his wets actually got quite a few points at the end there because he was at the back, up to 11th, ahead of Zimmer in 12th. Deco on the inters didn't fare much better than Deco on the softs. He's going to be 13th here. Looks like he cut that corner. Yeah, 4 seconds. Wow. But it doesn't really matter, he's 13th anyway. Bit of a sad way to end the season for Deco. And then we've got Simba, who was on for a top 10, I reckon, before the rain started coming. He was doing good. But, I mean, what can you do when you're hung out to dry on the softs like this? That's not the track, sir. Is going to be able to make it. I mean, the rain's still absolutely chucking it down. I feel like this is as wet as it can possibly be. And the poor lads on softs with damage. And there we go. Reverse, yeah, finish the season in reverse. Tier 3 white, that's your lot for this season. Sign up to live, so please make sure you've done it if you haven't. Also, we're looking for commentators. You might have noticed that a lot of tiers were pretty behind on commentary this season, so we need some new commentators who are going to be slightly more punctual. So if you're interested, let me know, send me a DM. Apart from that, we got race champions next week. I'm going to be taking part in my Audi, as is Spin and Colin in their cars. We're going around Monza without a chicane, which is going to be chaos, so Pyro's going to be commentating that. But yeah, apart from that, thanks for watching this season, and I'll see you next time.